Diligent has been at the forefront of the board portal industry for the last 15 years and has solidified its position as the undisputed global leader in secure board collaboration solutions. The company has more than 400,000 board directors and executives working in more than 12,000 organizations worldwide using its products. Here today to talk about Diligent's meteoric rise to the top and the company's future plans is Brian Stafford, CEO of Diligent Corporation. Welcome, Brian.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you. Give us a snapshot of Diligent and how it works with businesses globally.
Sure. So as you noted, Diligent works with about 500,000 directors around the globe. And Diligent started out as a secure way for companies to send their board materials to their directors. And now it's expanded well beyond that. So now for board members, it is the one-stop governance and compliance solution for them. So they started receiving their board materials through the application, and now they can receive insight, content, analytics on board composition, et cetera. And it has become the hub for them to do all of their e-signatures, compliance, and governance work. We work pretty seamlessly with the corporate secretary and the board.
Great. And what differentiates Diligent from its competitors?
I think two things. First is just our scale. Being more than 3 times the size of our largest competitor, it really is the de facto solution, which means more board members are using it, more are comfortable with it, et cetera. The second thing is our commitment to innovation. If you look at the growth and the investment that we put in product and expanding what we do, we really are redefining the way that companies interact with their boards, and that's why Diligent introduced the Diligent Governance Cloud, which is a comprehensive suite that allows all of companies and their boards to communicate and effectively manage and govern their organizations.
And Diligent teamed up with Insight Venture Partners in 2016 to take the company private. Would you say this has influenced your market share and your ability to innovate and deliver new products?
Yeah, our relationship with Insight Venture Partners has been a huge catalyst for Diligent's growth. Diligent used to be a publicly traded company, and as a publicly traded company, we struggled with the balance between focusing on profit and focusing on innovation and giving back to our clients. And in the move to going private, we were able to really double down and more than triple our spend on R&D now as a private company. And you'll see from a user perspective that has benefited the companies as well as board directors in the more expansive and innovative product.
And what has been your priority since becoming CEO of Diligent?
First, making sure we have a phenomenal team of people.
Sure.
And so Diligent as a company, when I joined, was about 300 or so people, and right now we're over 1,000 people. I think we have a phenomenal group of people across New York, London, Washington, D.C., New Zealand, and Australia. And the second one was just the commitment to innovation that I mentioned. We focus on a market that I think is underserved from a technology perspective, which is board and corporate governance. And our belief is that through great people and investing in new products and technology, we can help to effectively help companies function better by providing them more tools to help them be more aware and more up-to-date on governance needs.
And what are the biggest risk strategies for Diligent as your company continues to grow globally?
I think it's really making sure that we keep our eye on people and innovation. We operate in a market with a lot of innovative people. The war for talent, even in London itself, is quite active. And so making sure that we can keep the right people and the right focus on innovation and on our clients, I think is essential to our growth.
And how would you say the role of the board director is changing in today's environment?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. We spend a lot of time talking to board members, and the reality is the role of a board member has gotten tougher and tougher over time. You'll get more focus from government in terms of regulation, constant focus from activist investors. If you look at cyber threat, if you look at ESG and the questions that organizations are asking their boards,
right.
The bar for being a board member has gone up and up. When you talk to most board members, they articulate that the reason that they joined a board was in part they were maybe a retired executive, had an opportunity to give something back, and being on a board is an unbelievably prestigious role. But the reality is, with more scrutiny, focus, there's a lot of downside and risk to board members as well. No one wants to show up in the press for being a board member who wasn't focused on the right things.
Sure.
And so most board members would say, yeah, that the job has gotten tougher and the bar has gotten even higher for board members.
And how would you equip boardrooms and board directors to navigate digital disruption?
It's a really good question. Two things. One, most board members we talk to say it's incredibly imperative to making sure that you are refreshing your board by adding more digital talent to your board. That digital talent that you might add to your board will be able to more effectively ask management questions to help to challenge strategy and see it's effective. Second, if you're not actually adding those people to your board as formal board members, how do you make sure that you can recycle and bring in the right industry experts to make sure that they can inform the board and help to ask the right questions on management to challenge strategy?
And as more and more businesses go through their digital transformation, how would you say that governance has evolved and changed?
So we actually recently wrote a book called Governance in the Digital Age, and it really speaks to exactly that point. As we looked at things, governance hasn't materially changed in the last 20 years. But if you look at the pace at which business is changing, it's just happening so much faster in the digital age. And what we propose is governing in the digital age is actually making sure companies and board members can be more prepared. Companies can prepare their board members, or board members can actively become more prepared, so that when questions come up, they don't just wait till the next board meeting to address it. And so when an activist investor writes a letter to the board and says, you're not doing whatever it might be correctly, you can't wait to the next board meeting to address, because the reality is that that letter that got shared with the board may be leaked to the FT later on that day. So how do you keep your board more prepared so they can be more responsive to changes as they happen more quickly than ever?
And when it comes to trust, trust is obviously key for your clients given the sensitive information that they manage. How do you deal with the cybersecurity threats?
So for us as a company, we tend to have pretty much the best team that we can afford to bring in to make sure that we stay ahead of any of the challenges that come. And we also get that question a lot from board members. How can they actually become more prepared to make sure they can ask the right questions of management to make sure that they stay at the forefront of those challenges? And one of the things that we've started to do in our application is add more content around cybersecurity awareness, cybersecurity training, that now you can actually do within our application. So board members can make sure that they feel as prepared as possible for the onslaught of security-related questions.
And finally, how do you see the enterprise governance management market evolving over the next 5 years?
Yeah, it's a really good question. If we look at all the challenges that I highlighted around the speed at which change is happening, we actually see enterprise governance management as a broader set of tools that helps companies and boards more effectively address that speed. So that means more real-time content, more information, more analytics, more of a research hub for companies and their board members to go to make sure that they can stay prepared all the time. Because being prepared for just 4 or 5 board meetings a year is just not sufficient anymore. And so how can we help to evolve the set of tools and modernize the set of tools to help board members more effectively govern?
Well, thank you very much for your time, Brian. It's been a real pleasure talking to you today.
Thanks for having me. Great discussion.